got the Surrey actor Max Bowden on the show at 4:10 this afternoon. He, until very recently, has been Ben Mitchell in EastEnders. He's now in Sebastian Folkes' Bird Song, which is coming our way on tour. He's on the show just before 4:10. Now, my next guest is best known for playing Ben Mitchell in EastEnders right up until last year, and, well, he had his fair share of dramatic storylines.
Get your hands off of me!
You don't talk to me like that. I don't like it. Do you understand?
You don't call Lola, you don't text her, you don't contact her in any way. Are you following me? Because if you do, I'm going to kill you.
I'm going to punch you in the face, Ben.
Oh, bring it on.
Yeah, well, I've done a bit of bird for less.
Oh, it makes a change from his brother smashing me head in, doesn't it? Where's the phone? What? The burner! Hectic! It's to do with the phone? Your name didn't come up, and there's no reason it should. So stay calm and stay well away from me and my dad.
Well, now Max Bowden, born in Woking, is taking on drama of a very different sort. He's starring in the touring version of Bird Song, Sebastian Folkes' best-selling novel, an epic story of love and loss, which is back on stage to mark its 30th anniversary. The critically acclaimed show tells the story of one man's journey through an all-consuming love affair and into the horror of the First World War. It arrives at the Theatre Royal in Brighton on Tuesday, the 4th of February.
I loved a woman once, and she loved me.
Tomorrow, we shall inflict a defeat on the Bosch, such that he will never recover.
Twice in my life, I've loved more than my heart can bear. The wire has not been cut. Don't tell your men.
I am what I am at last.
Well, Max, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's first week back at rehearsal, so I'm slowly but surely getting back into the swing of things after a rugby Christmas. But you know, it's good to be back.
And was it an interesting Christmas for you, not having EastEnders on the telly and everyone talking about you for a change?
Well, I mean, I watched it myself. It was a good Christmas. They did a great job. So it was still on the telly. It was just minus myself, which is sometimes quite a nice thing.
Because it was your, let's not forget, that's been your life for quite a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, it was 5 years, which is a long time in anything. And I had a really good run there. I loved it very much, but I was ready for a bit of a change, and I couldn't have gone into something more different if I tried,
Yeah, let's talk about Birdsong. And for those who maybe aren't familiar with the novel, it's kind of got everything, this story, hasn't it? I mean, it's set with a war background, but it's a really emotional tale, isn't it?
It has. I mean, Sebastian Folkes' novel is turned 30 last year, and it's a staple in the syllabus around colleges, universities, schools, because of all of the themes that are so resonant with today and with sort of the everyday world that we see. And Birdsong sort of, yeah, you're right, it's set amongst the backdrop of the First World War, but amongst it are these really kind of chaotic themes of love and friendship and hope and sort of all of the things that make humans humans. It shows the human form at its most brutal, but also its most beautiful.
And as a piece of theatre, it's relatively unusual in that we get a couple of intervals, and it's a long emotional piece, isn't it? So for you as an actor,
yes.
is that an extra challenge?
It's always a challenge. I try and approach every role with the same sort of ethos and drive as I do any other. But yeah, I mean, the thing with this is that there's a huge responsibility to do it correctly because of the people that we're representing. It's we look back at the history of our country, and people died to sort of save freedom and liberty, and we're representing them. So certainly we approach it with a very tender head on.
Talk to us about your character. Talk to us about Jack.
Yeah, so I play Jack Firebrace, who was one of the Royal Engineers. He was a tunneller, so he dug the tube back home in London. He died in 1912, and was surrounded by sort of the Bank branch and the Central line. And he got drafted off to the war. The tunnellers were essentially, they had the worst living conditions out of everyone because they'd spend sort of 15 hours at a time in these 3-foot tunnels trying to wire explosives towards the Germans. So they had really extreme circumstances, and amongst all of that, Jack is also undergoing some personal trauma at home, and that's sort of leading him to have this far and away weird experience of war.
And this show comes with many a content warning. I've seen content warnings before, but not quite the list that you get with this show. Lots to contend with as an actor in here. Smoke, loud noises, violence, weapons, mutilation of animals, bad language, and of course sexually explicit scenes.
It sounds like a dodgy night out in London, doesn't it? It's there's a lot going on. I mean, again, as I say, Adam, it's what Sebastian and Rachel and the team have done very well is that they've carefully curated this piece that is both tender and abrasive, and in doing so, all of the themes become quite pertinent, and it is worth the trigger warning, but it's also done very delicately and beautifully.
Because it's one of those books that it means so much to so many people, and when you read a novel like Birdsong, you're picturing so much of it. You're sort of creating these pictures in your head of what things look like and how they would have played out. So it's so important, isn't it, to sort of do a novel like that justice when you put it onto a stage.
Of course, especially one that's as well received as this one is. It's become sort of a cultural piece in British literature, and that's why I feel totally honoured to be sort of bringing it to the stage. And the first leg of the tour was an incredible success. We've got some amazing venues, of course, including Brighton, still left to play, and I'm excited to see where we'll end up.
More from my conversation with actor Max Bowden, talking Birdsong next. 4:21, Sabrina Carpenter. Back we go now to my conversation with EastEnders actor, who played Ben Mitchell for many, many a year, Max Bowden, born in Woking, who is now in Sebastian Faulks's Birdsong, coming to Brighton's Theatre Royal from the 4th of February.
One morning in springtime when soft falls the dew, a pretty fair damsel, with violets so blue, she made a sweet sound, made the valleys to ring. My love is in Flanders, fighting for the king, and I would that the wars they were over. I would that the wars they were done.
How is it going back into something like this? Because it's clearly a massive undertaking. As we've discussed, it's a big show. It's a huge emotional journey of a show. So coming away from it and then coming back into it again, is it natural that you'll sort of get out of the rhythms and maybe forget a few lines and have to get them back again?
It's funny, Adam, because I didn't see it like that until I got back. But I turned 30 in December.
Right.
And I don't know what's happened, but my body doesn't seem to work like it did at 29 4 weeks ago.
Right.
So it has been a slight shock to the system, but it's funny, isn't it? Muscle memory and sort of being around the same people, getting back into the rhythms. It doesn't take long, but that first couple of days was certainly a bit of a shock to the system.
And let's talk about the brilliant cast around you. One of your co-stars has been on this show fairly recently, Charlie Russell. Of course, we all know her from Mischief Theatre and stuff, but it's such a great cast around you, isn't it?
It is. It's a really great cast, and it's a really strong ensemble. What Alistair Watley and Original Theatre do very well is they build a team that they believe will work well as a company, and this piece is very communal. It's because of the humanity and the relationships and the sort of interweaving of stories. It's very important that the cast are well kept together, and that's certainly what it's been like. And James Esther's stage debut as Stephen is remarkable.
And how is it taking a show like this on the road, moving from place to place? Because it feels to me like it must be quite a sort of a complex set, and there are a fair few of you involved in this, let's not forget as well. So taking a show like this on the road and moving it about, what's that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. This show changes depending on where you play it. I've always found that. I did it 10 years ago playing a different role.
Right.
And if you do this show in Portsmouth, where it's a heavily military town, and then you do it in somewhere that's quite gentrified like Bristol, the audience reaction is very different. They buy into certain aspects,
right.
which is the unique thing about touring theatre, is that everywhere you go, you will find a different reaction. And Birdsong has so many themes, so many different arcs that it will change all the time in terms of the reaction from the audience. But it's always positive, which is great.
When will the church bells for victory ring, and all the young men will return from the war, and I can get wed to the girl I adore?
And I often talk to actors who do, quite emotional stage shows, and we end up getting onto the conversation of what happens when the curtain goes down at the end, and you all sort of have to take a bit of a breath because you've just been on this incredible thing, and it's quite, there's emotions are high and low, and in various parts of the show you're going through quite a lot. What's it like when this one is over and you all sort of take a breath and go, phew?
Well, I'm lucky because, I say lucky because I'm covered in muck by the end of the show. I need to take a shower, and I always find that water is the best way of curing anything.
Right.
So I have a cold shower at the end of the show, and it helps me get back to a bit of normality.
We cannot wait for you to come our way with Birdsong. It's at Brighton's Theatre Royal then from the 4th of Feb through to Saturday the 8th of Feb. Max, it's been great to chat. Good luck with the rest of the tour.
Thanks, Adam. Take care, mate.